My stepbrother married my fiancée, and my mom's reaction will leave you speechless. My name is Jake, and I'm 30 years old. It was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. Emily and I had spent countless hours planning our wedding, dreaming about our future, and imagining a life filled with love and joy. But on that fateful day, everything came crashing down in a way I could never have anticipated. It started out like any other Saturday. I woke up early, eager to tackle the to-do list for our upcoming wedding. Emily was out with her friends for brunch, so I had the house to myself. I decided to take the opportunity to surprise her with a few thoughtful touches, fresh flowers, a handwritten note, and perhaps a few small gifts to brighten her day. As I was arranging the flowers, my phone buzzed with a text message. It was from my stepbrother, Alex. His message was brief and cryptic. "Jake, we need to talk. Meet me at the cafe on Maple Street." Wondering why Alex would want to meet up. We hadn't spoken much lately. I assumed it was just a casual catch-up. I finished setting up the surprise for Emily, then headed to the cafe, not expecting anything out of the ordinary. When I arrived, I saw Alex already sitting at a table, his face pale and drawn. He looked up as I approached, and I noticed the unease in his eyes. "Jake, thanks for coming," he said, his voice trembling. "What's going on?" I asked, sitting down across from him. I was trying to remain calm, but a sense of foreboding was settling over me. Alex took a deep breath, his eyes darting around as if searching for the right words. "There's something I need to tell you, something I should have told you a long time ago." I leaned in, my heart pounding. "What is it? Just tell me." He hesitated before pulling out a few photographs from his jacket and slid them across the table toward me. "I didn't want you to find out this way, but you deserve to know the truth." I stared at the photos, my blood running cold. The images showed Alex and Emily together in intimate settings, photos from various places we'd visited. Their smiling faces, their affectionate gestures, they were all a lie. My vision blurred as I tried to process what I was seeing. "Alex, what is this?" My voice cracked with disbelief and anger. Alex's voice broke. "Emily and I, we were together. We've been seeing each other for months. We're married now." The words hit me like a sledgehammer. My world spun, and I felt as if I were about to collapse. I could barely comprehend the gravity of the betrayal. "You're married to her. How could you do this to me?" Alex's face was etched with guilt. "I'm so sorry, Jake. I never meant for it to go this far. It just happened. We both fell for each other. I know it's wrong. I should have told you sooner." I felt a surge of rage and hurt. "How could you do this? You're my brother. You were supposed to be there for me." Alex looked down, unable to meet my gaze. "I know, and I'm sorry. I've been living with this guilt for a long time. I didn't know how to tell you." The cafe's quiet ambience felt suffocating. I could hear the distant murmur of conversations, but it all seemed like a cruel joke. My mind raced with memories of Emily and Alex together, every smile, every shared moment now tainted with betrayal. I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. "I need to go," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I can't be here right now." As I walked out of the cafe, I felt a profound emptiness. The world outside seemed indifferent to my pain, as if mocking my suffering. I wandered aimlessly through the streets, trying to make sense of the chaos inside my head. The betrayal wasn't just about Emily and Alex. It was about everything I thought I knew about trust and love. Hours later, I found myself standing at the edge of a nearby park, staring blankly at the serene pond. The tranquility of the scene contrasted sharply with the storm raging within me. I was overwhelmed by a whirlwind of emotions: anger, sadness, and confusion. I remembered the plans Emily and I had made for our future, the dreams we had shared. It all felt like a cruel joke now, a shattered illusion. The pain was sharp and relentless, and I struggled to breathe under the suffocating weight of it. Betrayal cut deeper than I could have ever imagined. I had trusted Alex and Emily with my heart, and they had turned that trust into a weapon. I felt lost, like a ship adrift in a storm with no clear direction or purpose. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, I knew that I had to confront the reality of my situation. I couldn't run from the pain forever. I had to face it, understand it, and eventually find a way to heal. But for now, all I could do was sit by the pond, lost in my thoughts, and grapple with the fact that my life had been irrevocably changed. The betrayal had unfolded, and I was left to navigate the ruins of my shattered heart. The days after learning about Emily and Alex's betrayal were a blur of pain and disbelief. I found myself drowning in a sea of emotions, unable to find solid ground. My once vibrant life had been reduced to a series of disjointed moments, each one a reminder of the dream that had been brutally stolen from me. I remember the first few days after the revelation vividly. I tried to maintain some semblance of normality, but the facade quickly crumbled. My friends and family reached out, offering their support and condolences, but their words felt hollow. I couldn't bear to be around anyone who might inadvertently remind me of the life I had lost. I needed to be alone to grapple with the crushing weight of my grief. In solitude, I withdrew from everyone. I stopped answering calls and messages, ignoring the well-meaning attempts to check on me. It wasn't that I didn't appreciate their concern. It was that I couldn't stand the thought of being around people who might pity me, or worse, expect me to just move on and get over it. My apartment, once a place of warmth and shared dreams, now felt like a tomb. The echoes of laughter, the remnants of plans for the future, all seemed to mock me as I walked through the empty rooms. I found myself spending hours lying on the couch, staring blankly at the ceiling, unable to muster the energy to even make a simple meal. The bright, hopeful colors of my past life had faded into a dull gray. Sleep was elusive. I would lie awake for hours, my mind replaying the images of Emily and Alex together. The betrayal felt like a gaping wound that refused to heal, its pain relentless and unforgiving. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw their faces, heard their laughter, and felt the deep ache of their betrayal. It was a constant reminder that my life, as I knew it, had been irrevocably altered. I found myself wandering through the city streets aimlessly, trying to escape the crushing weight of my own thoughts. I would walk for hours, sometimes until late into the night, hoping that the physical exertion might somehow numb the emotional pain. But no matter how far I walked, the hurt remained, an ever-present companion that refused to be left behind. My job became a distant memory. I had always been dedicated to my work, but now I couldn't bring myself to focus on anything other than my own suffering. I would sit at my desk, staring at the screen, unable to concentrate. My productivity plummeted, and my colleagues noticed the change. They gave me space, but I knew that their concern was tinged with a mixture of worry and confusion. I was a shell of the person I once was, and I couldn't bear the thought of facing them. I avoided family gatherings and social events, opting instead for isolation. I spent my weekends in the darkened comfort of my apartment, only leaving to grab essentials or to take those long, aimless walks. The solitude was both a comfort and a curse. It allowed me to avoid confronting the reality of my situation, but it also magnified the pain, making every moment of loneliness feel like a personal betrayal. During one of my solitary walks, I found myself at a park that I used to visit with Emily. It was a place filled with memories of laughter and shared dreams. Now it felt like a graveyard of lost hopes. I sat on a bench, watching the children play and families enjoying their time together. The sight was a sharp contrast to the emptiness I felt inside. I couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy and sorrow. How could everyone else be so unaffected by the cruelty of fate, while I was left to suffer in silence? The holidays approached, a time that was supposed to be filled with joy and celebration. Instead, they became a stark reminder of the life that had been stolen from me. I was expected to participate in family gatherings and holiday festivities, but the thought of putting on a brave face and pretending to be okay was unbearable. I declined every invitation, choosing instead to spend the holidays alone. The silence of my apartment was a cold comfort, the only companion I felt I could truly trust. The loneliness began to erode my sense of self. I felt like a ghost drifting through my own life, disconnected from the person I used to be. The pain of betrayal had become my identity, overshadowing every aspect of who I was. I couldn't remember what it felt like to be happy or hopeful. The dreams I had once held close were now just distant echoes, drowned out by the relentless waves of despair. One evening, as I sat alone in the dark, my thoughts turned to Emily and Alex. I wondered how they were faring in their new life together. Were they happy? Did they ever think about the devastation they had left in their wake? The questions swirled in my mind, but I knew that dwelling on them would only deepen my pain. It was at that moment I realized I couldn't continue down this path. I needed help. The weight of my grief was too heavy to bear alone, and I knew that if I didn't find a way to cope, I might never recover. Reaching out to a therapist was a difficult step, but a necessary one. In therapy, I confronted the depth of my hurt and began the arduous process of healing. The road to recovery was long and fraught with challenges. But slowly, with each passing day, I began to rediscover pieces of myself that I thought were lost forever. The pain remained, but it no longer defined my existence. I was learning to live with the scars, to use them as a reminder of my strength and resilience. For now, the journey was just beginning. The dreams I once held dear had been shattered, but I was finding new ways to piece together a life that was uniquely my own. The road ahead was uncertain, but I was ready to face it one step at a time. 3 years had passed since the day my life was turned upside down. The intense pain had dulled into a constant ache, something I had learned to live with but could never quite forget. I had worked hard to rebuild my life, focusing on my career and personal growth. Yet, despite my efforts, the shadows of the past lingered. One afternoon, I found myself sitting in a quiet cafe, sipping coffee and reading a book. The soft hum of conversations and the clatter of cups provided a comforting backdrop. Just a few feet away was my mother. Her appearance was unannounced, and I was taken aback. For the past 3 years, I had kept my distance from family gatherings and events, trying to avoid any reminders of the past. Seeing her here, in this familiar place, was both surprising and unsettling. "Jake," she said softly, her voice trembling slightly. "May I sit with you?" I hesitated for a moment, then nodded. My heart raced, a mix of emotions bubbling up inside me. It had been a while since we had spoken in person, and I wasn't sure what to expect. She sat down, her eyes searching mine. "I've missed you," she began gently. "I've been busy," I replied, trying to keep my tone neutral. She sighed. "I know things have been hard, but I wanted to talk to you about something." I remained silent, waiting for her to continue. "It's about Alex and Emily," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The mention of their names sent a jolt through me. Even after all this time, the mere thought of them could unsettle me. "What about them?" I asked, my voice steady despite the tumult of emotion. She took a deep breath, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and concern. "Alex and Emily, they're having problems. Their marriage isn't what they hoped it would be." The words hung in the air, their weight pressing down on me. I tried to gauge my own reaction. Was I supposed to feel vindicated? Sad? Indifferent? "I thought you should know," she continued. "I didn't want you to hear it from someone else." I looked at her, searching for the motive behind her revelation. "Why are you telling me this?" She reached across the table and placed her hand over mine. "Because I care about you, Jake, and I think it's important for you to know what's happening. Maybe it's a chance for healing." I pulled my hand away gently. "Healing? How is knowing about their marital problems supposed to help me heal?" She paused, choosing her words carefully. "I just thought that maybe if you knew they were struggling, it might bring some closure. They've been through a lot." I stared at her, struggling to reconcile the image of the happy couple from my past with the reality of their current situation. What kind of problems are they having? My mother sighed, her gaze dropping to her hands. They've had their share of conflicts. Emily has been unhappy. Alex has been trying to make things work, but it seems that their marriage is falling apart. I think they're both regretting the choices they made. The news was both shocking and oddly soothing. Was it wrong to feel a sense of relief, or perhaps a grim satisfaction that their betrayal hadn't led to lasting happiness? "Why are you really telling me this?" I asked, meeting her eyes. She looked at me earnestly. "Because I think you deserve to know. And maybe it's time to let go of the past." I leaned back in my chair, contemplating her words. "I've been trying to move on," I said quietly. "It's not easy." "I know," she replied gently, "but holding on to anger and pain only hurts you in the long run." I took a deep breath, the weight of the conversation settling heavily upon me. "I don't know what you expect me to do with this information." "I'm not expecting anything," she assured me. "I just wanted you to know. You have every right to feel however you need to." I nodded, taking in her words. The idea of their marital problems was a reminder of the pain they had caused, but it also forced me to confront my own feelings. Was I simply reveling in their misery, or was there something deeper at play? "I appreciate you telling me," I said finally. "It's just hard to know what to do with it." She smiled softly. "There's no right or wrong way to feel. Just know that I'm here for you, and I hope you find peace." We sat in silence for a few moments, the clatter of the cafe filling the space between us. Eventually, she stood up, her expression a mix of hope and apprehension. "I just wanted you to know. I'll be here if you need to talk more." I watched her leave, feeling a sense of closure from our conversation, but also a lingering unease. The information about Alex and Emily's struggles was a powerful reminder of the impact their betrayal had on my life. It was a complex mix of emotions: anger, pity, and a faint sense of justice. As I sat alone in the cafe, I reflected on the new layer of complexity that had been added to my journey. Their problems didn't erase the pain they had caused me, but they did force me to confront the lingering bitterness I held. Perhaps it was time to truly let go. Leaving the cafe, I felt a strange sense of clarity. I had been given a glimpse into the lives of those who had hurt me, and while it was difficult to process, it also offered a chance to reassess my own journey. The road ahead was still uncertain, but I was beginning to understand that true healing was not about seeking retribution, but about finding peace within myself. After much contemplation, I decided to confront Alex and Emily. It wasn't about rekindling relationships or seeking revenge. It was about closure. I needed to face them to truly move forward. The evening I chose to meet them was cool and crisp. I drove to their house, a place that had once been a symbol of their happiness, but now felt like neutral ground for unresolved grievances. When I arrived, I took a deep breath and knocked firmly on the door. Alex opened it, surprise evident on his face. "Jake, what are you doing here? Can we talk?" I asked. He hesitated but then nodded. "Of course. Come in." Emily appeared from another room, her expression a mix of surprise and apprehension. "Jake," she said softly, "we didn't expect to see you." I looked at both of them. "I heard about your troubles, and I need to talk about everything." We sat down in their living room, the atmosphere tense. I began. "I want to understand why you both did what you did. How could you betray me like that? We were family." Emily looked down, unable to meet my gaze. "Jake, we're sorry. We really are. But the truth is complicated. We've made mistakes." "Complicated," I echoed, struggling to keep my anger in check. "You destroyed my life. You took everything from me." Alex sighed. "You're right. There's no excuse for what we did. We were selfish, and we've hurt you deeply." I clenched my fists, the old pain resurfacing. "Do you have any idea what I've been through? How much I've struggled because of you?" "We've thought about it every day," Emily whispered. "We know we can't undo the past, but we've been trying to make things right." "Make things right?" I scoffed. How exactly do you plan to do that? Alex met my gaze. We can't change what happened, but we want you to know that we're sorry. Truly sorry. I took a deep breath. I didn't come here for apologies. I came here to tell you that I'm letting go. I'm tired of carrying this weight. They both looked at me, surprise evident in their eyes. I've spent years letting this pain control me, I continued. But I'm done. I need to move on, and that means forgiving you. Not for your sake, but for mine. Emily's eyes welled up with tears. Jake, we never meant to hurt you like this. I know, I replied, but intentions don't erase actions. What matters now is that we all find a way to heal. There was a long silence, each of us lost in our thoughts. Finally, Alex spoke. Thank you. I know we don't deserve it, but thank you. I stood up. I hope you both find whatever it is you're looking for. Take care. As I left their house, I felt a sense of relief. The confrontation had been difficult, but it was necessary. I had finally closed a chapter that had haunted me for too long. In the months that followed, I focused on rebuilding my life. One evening, while visiting a local art gallery, I met a woman named Leah. She was an artist, passionate and full of life. There was an immediate connection between us, a spark that I hadn't felt in years. Leah and I began spending time together, exploring the city, sharing our stories, and finding joy in each other's company. She had a way of seeing the world that was both refreshing and inspiring. With her, I felt the walls I'd built around myself begin to crumble. One day, as we sat in a park watching the sunset, Leah turned to me. Jake, there's something different about you lately. I smiled. Different how? There's a lightness in you, a sense of peace. It's beautiful to see. I nodded thoughtfully. I've been through a lot, but meeting you has helped me see that there's still so much to look forward to. She took my hand. I'm glad, because I feel the same way. Our relationship blossomed, and for the first time in a long while, I felt genuinely happy. The shadows of the past no longer loomed over me. I had found someone who accepted me for who I was, scars and all. As time went on, I reconnected with my family, attended gatherings, and allowed myself to be part of their lives again. The wounds had healed, leaving behind scars that served as reminders of my journey. One evening, Leah and I hosted a small dinner party, inviting friends and family. As I looked around the room filled with laughter and warmth, I realized how far I had come. The pain of the past had transformed into strength, leading me to a place of contentment and hope. Leah raised her glass in a toast. To new beginnings, she said, smiling at me. To new beginnings, I echoed, feeling grateful for the path that had led me here. After confronting Alex and Emily, I thought the chapter of betrayal was closed. But life has a way of reminding you that healing isn't linear. While my relationship with Leah continued to grow, the scars left by my past still lingered, though more faintly than before. Occasionally, memories of the pain would resurface when I least expected it, but Leah's unwavering support helped me push through those moments. It had been almost 5 years since the day Alex and Emily shattered my world. Time dulled the sharp edges of the pain, but they never completely disappeared. I had to accept that some wounds leave marks, and though I had forgiven them, I couldn't forget. Still, I had found a way to move on. One day, while I was visiting Leah's cafe, my phone buzzed with an unexpected text message. It was from Alex. Jake, we need to talk. It's important. I stared at the message for a moment, my heart sinking. I hadn't spoken to Alex since our confrontation months ago. What could he possibly want now? Leah noticed the change in my expression as I sat at the counter, lost in thought. Everything okay? She asked gently, her hand resting on my shoulder. Alex texted me, I said, showing her the message. He wants to talk. Leah's brow furrowed, but she didn't say anything for a moment. She was always careful not to push, understanding that my past with Alex and Emily was still a sensitive topic. What are you going to do? She finally asked. I shrugged, feeling conflicted. I don't know. I've already said everything I needed to say to him. Why drag all of that up again? Maybe it's not about dragging up the past, Leah said thoughtfully. Maybe he has something else to say. Whatever it is, it's up to you whether you want to listen. After a long pause, I nodded. I'll meet him. I need to know what this is about. We arranged to meet at the same cafe where Alex had first broken the news about Emily. As I walked in, memories of that painful day came flooding back, but I shook them off. This was different. I was different now. Alex was already seated, looking as tense as he had that day years ago. He glanced up when I approached, giving me a tentative smile. Hey, Jake. Thanks for coming. I sat down across from him, nodding briefly. What's this about, Alex? He fidgeted with the cup in front of him, clearly nervous. Look, I know things between us will never be the same, and I don't expect them to be. I just wanted to. I don't know. Clear the air a little. I folded my arms, leaning back in my chair. I thought we already did that. We did, but there's more I need to say. Emily and we're getting a divorce. I blinked, taken aback by the admission. Despite everything, hearing it still felt like a punch to the gut, not because I cared about their relationship, but because it dredged up all the old pain. Okay, I said cautiously. And why are you telling me this? Alex sighed heavily, rubbing a hand over his face. I don't know. I guess I thought you should hear it from me, not from someone else. Things between us have been bad for a long time, longer than I want to admit. We thought we could fix it, but it's just not working. And I've been thinking a lot about what I did to you. I stayed silent, letting him speak. His words felt like they were coming from a place of guilt, but there was something else in his voice, a kind of sadness that I hadn't heard before. I hurt you more than I can ever make up for, Alex continued. I know that. I ruined our relationship, and in the end, I couldn't even make it work with Emily. It's all falling apart. A part of me felt vindicated hearing that their marriage had failed, but another part of me, the part that had moved on, just felt sad for him. Not because I forgave everything he'd done, but because I could see how lost he was. I don't know what you expect me to say, Alex, I finally said. I've already made my peace with everything that happened. I forgave you and Emily for my own sake, not yours. And as for your divorce, that's not my burden to carry. Alex nodded, looking defeated. I know. I guess I just wanted you to know that I understand now, in a way I didn't before, what it feels like to lose everything. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I studied him for a moment, realizing that he was telling the truth. This was a man who had once been my brother, who had made terrible choices, and who was now facing the consequences of those choices. You'll figure it out, I said, my voice softer than I intended. It's not easy, but you'll get through it. He looked at me with a mixture of gratitude and regret. Thanks, Jake. I know I don't deserve your kindness, but I appreciate it. I nodded, standing up to leave. Take care of yourself, Alex. As I walked out of the cafe, I felt a sense of finality wash over me. The chapter with Alex and Emily was truly over. Their marriage had crumbled, and while that didn't erase the pain they caused, it wasn't my responsibility to hold onto it anymore. When I returned to Leah's cafe later that afternoon, she looked at me expectantly. How did it go? It's over, I said simply, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. Really over this time. Leah smiled warmly and wrapped her arms around me. Good. You deserve peace. In the months that followed, I continued to focus on my future with Leah. Our relationship deepened, and we began talking seriously about our future together, building a life that was based on trust, love, and the lessons I had learned through all the pain. Leah's cafe became a sanctuary for us both, a place where we could dream about the life we wanted to create. Together, we built something beautiful, something that reminded me every day that healing is possible, even after the deepest wounds. And while the past would always be a part of me, it no longer defined me. The road ahead was filled with hope and possibility, and with Leah by my side, I knew I was finally ready to embrace whatever the future had in store. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next video. See you next time.